So for those of us who don't know what generational trauma is, it is difficulties, character traits, or reactions that we learned from our seniors, from parents. We can have traumas and we can learn reactions, how to deal with life from teachers. We learn how to deal with life from siblings. We learn how to deal with life from the friends that we have. Everyone's an influencer, and everyone is so impressionable to what influence they're going to receive from any one person, right? So this idea is that we have high reactions that are illogical, that are not. It's coming with an intensity that has nothing to do with the actual situation, right? I don't know if any of us have experienced that. I definitely have. Where you have a totally, inflamed reaction to what is happening. It could be your child. Please.
So there's this concept, there's this idea called epigenetics. Epigenetics is the turning on and off of certain genes. So, for example, somebody might have a certain, and it's the environment that influences the genes and turns on and off certain genes. So this idea of nature and nurture is very interconnected. So, for example, if you have a lot of stressful experiences and you actually have changes in your DNA, that means that the way that you deal with stress is altered. So they knew for a while that there were certain epigenetic changes, certain changes of this turning on and off of certain genes that in our body that could be inherited from your mother. And that's one way that intergenerational trauma can occur. They did a study where they trained rats to become scared of a sound. So every time they would play the sound, they would give the rat a small electric shock. And very quickly, the rat learned that this sound, they're going to get an electric shock. And every time when they played the sound, the rat would start getting an increased heart rate and having different signs of being under stress. And then they trained the male rats. And then they trained the male rats. And for several generations, the rats, and they were raised separately, the rats were still getting the same stress response to that sound, even though they were never exposed to the electric shock that gave them the sound. Then, like all good scientists, they asked why, and they looked at the DNA of the rats, and they saw changes in these genes that are about stress. And when they looked at the brains of the 3 generations later of the rats, when they looked at the brains, the way that they dealt with the hearing part of their brain was shaped differently to a regular rat. And that's the way, as Suzette saying, that this intergenerational stress, intergenerational trauma, that you pick it up from your parents, but it's not just the behaviors that you're exposed to, it's literally inside you. You're different because of various things that you pick up.
From your ancestors
from their
responded
turning on and off of genes based on environment.
Thank you, Eliza. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was a groundbreaking study. It's about 10 years ago.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, groundbreaking study.
Where have we been? I love that. That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay. Aren't we lucky? Thank God. Thank you for sharing with us. That's massive stuff. So this is the point. Thank you, Eliza, for sharing with us this idea of epigenetics.
Yeah.
Epigenetics.
And they've also done studies in the ancestors of Holocaust survivors, and they have changes in their DNA. And they've done it in various communities that have experienced trauma, but it first started in Holocaust survivors. There was a study in Israel, and they have actual changes in the way that they handle the 2 and 3, next generation, and the next generation has changes in the coding of how they handle stress.
So isn't that massive?
Yeah.
So that's amazing. So with that information, we can have a little bit more compassion, a lot more compassion for our ancestors and the generations before us, and for the current people. Nachon. So it's, and for ourselves. The big one is for ourselves. A lot of us are very hard on ourselves. We expect more from ourselves. We expect better, right? So this is really, really important. So all this really, if we start to take notice of the type of effect that we have just from creating a certain environment, like Eliza said, the type of effect that it can have on literally anyone who's standing there, that we can start changing their future and the generations after them. Or, we have a big influence, we have a big impact, no matter what role Hashem has given us. Multiple roles, right? So isn't this interesting that us as Jews, we have been given the mission, right? We started this off, we said that Hashem gave us like a hero role. All of us are a hero of our story, right? But we're really a hero for the people around us. We're a hero for the world at large. We're a hero for, ourselves also. And we're a hero for Hashem because we're doing for Hashem what he, in some ways, like what he can't do for himself. In some ways we can see it that way because he is so lofty and so holy and so not affected by anything. He's given us the ability to feel what it feels like to change reality and to make miracles happen. In some ways we can understand it that way, right? So how is that? How can you literally feel the bracha of a miracle? So one of these missions that Hashem gave to each of us, the hero that was born into the world, he said that one of our missions is Tikkun HaMidot, one of our main missions. And if you look at what is it that creates an environment, a positive environment or a negative environment, usually it's your reactions. It's the way you think, the way you interpret and perceive things, the way you speak and express yourself to the people around you, or even at home when no one's looking at you. What are you doing? What actions are you inputting into the world, right? And what sort of meaning is this giving over to yourself? That if am I not worth the changes that I want? Am I not worth all the goodness that I want in my life? I'm not doing the steps that I know I need to, blah, blah, blah. Like, what's your self-talk? Are you creating a positive environment for yourself? And if you're not, then hello, toxic roommate, 24/7. It's never going to leave on its own, but for sure it does leave. And we're going to get into that. But so if you have a toxic roommate in your brain, you're not going to show up as your best self in any way. You're not going to show up as the best parent. You're not going to have patience. You're not going to be slow to anger. These are attributes of God's Yud Gimel Midot HaRachamim that we're supposed to embody. We're supposed to get to that more and more. That's an expression of who our true self is, deep down, right? Our Holy of Holies, or the Aron HaKodesh within us, has naturally slow to anger, patience. What are the other ones? Mercy, forgiving. Even after someone continues to do the same thing repeatedly, we're able to forgive them. That's our soul has that capacity. So us Jews have been given this clear avodah to work on your character traits. When you work on your character traits, you end up changing the story for the next generation. You end up changing because you change your reactions to things, you change the way you're behaving, you change what your children or friends or employees or what they're going to pick up and learn from you. If you're somebody who's really chaotic, you're in not a good place, the people around you are going to have to put up with you being on your PMSing mood or whatever it is, right? And they're going to have to know, I have to think in my brain 10 steps ahead. I can't say something that's going to hurt them or tick them off. I have to be on eggshells completely. I have to think, what are they thinking? I can't address it with them because God forbid they take it the wrong way or whatever it is. So in this way, us as friends or siblings or people, we're making other people step into a way of living that is not helping anyone. It's not helping them work on themselves to be a better person. They're totally focused on who you are as a person and how to not hurt you or whatever it is. So it's totally reactive, right? And if you have people in your life who are like that, where things are just don't make sense, a lot of illogical stuff that just, there are simple solutions and they refuse to do the solutions, it causes a lot of chaos and a lot of pain, right? So in that way also, tikkun midot means Hashem's not blaming you. Hashem's saying you have an opportunity to change the reality here. You have an opportunity to live as a miracle, to literally do a tikkun, like a teshuvah for the previous generations before you, who probably, for sure in our generation, they didn't have the tools that we have today. And I was talking to my teacher today. She was saying something amazing. She said, the Gemara says that it can take a lifetime. I believe it's the Gemara. She said, I believe it's the Gemara, that it could take a lifetime to change a character trait. And we're taught that even habits are so ingrained in us as if they were character traits, right? That's like, character traits are so ingrained in us, they're almost who we are. Not really, right? But the Rebbe says that was the reality before, in the days bygone, in the days of our ancestors. Today we are so lucky. We are on the doorstep of Mashiach. What does that mean? It means we have all these Torah teachings. I found Miriam on a like by chance on a shir online. She was a different speaker and I followed her and I found all her YouTube videos. I took all her books and I learned so much from her. I spoke to her. It's just something that would never happen. She's in America. It would never happen. So we have tools today, the deep secrets, the inner secrets, the inner depth of the Torah. It's not enough just to learn Torah at the surface level. It's not enough just to be intellectually stimulated. Our Torah has to come into our brain and actually transform our heart and transform our physical urges. It will do that, and it will restructure our brain if we do the steps. And thank God, Miriam Yerushalmi is someone who has gone through the steps. She has gone through so many things, as over 30 years a psychologist, and even that didn't help her, right? And even that didn't help her clients. Doing all the Torah learning that she did, even that didn't help her. She stumbled upon Hashem is so kind, all the answers. And I'm so lucky that I'm able to experience that and B'ezrat Hashem impart that and share that message, because there is a formula, so to speak, right? What is the formula? First of all, we have to know only Hashem is capable of changing reality, right? If every time in our history we turn away from Hashem, we get a little loose, everything's fine, loosey-goosey baby, then we end up falling victim to the circumstances of reality. If you're emotional and you're taking it out on the person in front of you, whether it's a child, oh my God, stop, just stop, like, scream, and lose your self-control. If it's a partner, you did something wrong and they call it out in a not nice way, then it can be so hard to accept that and to be humbled and to say, whoa, you're right, but I can't be talked to like that or whatever, right? Usually there's like a battle, right? Usually I can't speak for everybody. Some people don't have that issue, right? We all have our own issues, our own challenges. But it's the path of the Jew is to not be a victim to circumstance. It's to say, okay, thanks Hashem, you gave me this challenge, whatever it is, for a reason. It's actually to bring out the best in me. So please help me bring out the best in me. It talks about, we're taught about the olive that is literally physically crushed so that the oil can seep through. And it's extra virgin olive oil, and there's not much that comes through, right? So you have to go squeezing lots of olives. Our soul we have to be crushed, squeezed like that olive to get the real pureness inside of us. Now the question is, are you gonna, Are you going to play loosey-goosey and say, I'm not going to change, I'm happy where I'm at, I'm not going to make that ladder and those steps to refine myself as a person and to be a better influencer? Great. If that's your stance, I'm so sorry. This is not the world for pampering and self-pleasure and all of that. We're here to work. The next life, when we finish this life, thank God, we have a beautiful something waiting for us, right? So if that's the case, then unfortunately, there are outside circumstances, different relationships with people that are going to start triggering us more than it would if we were working on ourselves, okay? And this is really, really interesting. I've seen it in my own life. When I'm focusing on my tools, which is prayer from the text, from the Siddur, prayer, immediately after prayer, Torah learning. Why all of this? Because this is bringing and drawing down changing the structure of my brain by drawing down godliness into my mind so that I am no longer just a person, just a pedestrian. I am now connected to the divine, and because of this connection to the divine, I'm able to live a reality that is higher than what's going on in front of me, right? And the only way we're able to do that is actually by, and unfortunately, we're told as women that it's not necessary for us to pray, to daven from the text. That is a sad, sad thing. It's we're not commanded, but the fact that we're not commanded means that there's even more for us to gain when we do it, you know? And I've seen it in myself, I've seen it in the clinic, I've seen it with many, many people, and Miriam's seen it with thousands of people. That really davening, even if you're not davening everything, daven something, pray a little bit, pray the basics, whatever it is. Do those texts, read those texts, that text of the prayer, and immediately after learn Torah, but Torah from like a deep source, Torah that reaches the heart, like the secrets of the Torah, like what we're learning tonight, like this book, for example, The Temple Within, right? So the idea is when we do that, Torah and godliness can actually sweeten our midot. That once upon a time our sages told us that takes 120 years to refine a character trait. It can happen. It can happen today much faster when we do these tools, and physically our brain actually restructures and rewires so that instead of being 3 to 4 times more reactive, our brain can become 3 to 4 times more slow to respond in terms of able to think before we act, able to think before we react, right? And that all comes from what we're putting into our brain. So, B'ezrat Hashem, may Hashem really help us, each and every one of us and all of our family members, that we should really see ourselves as an influencer and really step into the role of co-creator, because we are always creating. May we create happy and healthy and positive environment and a greater world through our personal character traits that we refine within ourselves, that we have a good relationship with ourselves and are able to have a good relationship with others, and have a positive and healthy influence on every single person around us. So, thank you.
That was so good. I love it. Thank you so much.